The significance of shared community vision and effective governance is often overlooked, leading to issues such as coups in Africa, environmental concerns in Indonesia from nickel mining, kidnappings and terrorism in Nigeria, and security incidents involving US National Guard members in Washington, D.C. Securing democracy, community harmony, the environment, and cybersecurity are all requiring a fresh look at the governance ecosystems. That is the bundle of rules that establish the order that is required in all these areas. The low quality of leadership, especially the inability to unify around a shared positive view of the future, is also stoking fresh tensions all over the world. There is indeed a price to be paid if leaders no more inspire confidence and trust crumbles. Meanwhile, army officers have seized power in Guinea-Bissau, removing President Umaru Sissoco Embalo a day before provisional results of elections were due. The opposition leader, also arrested, says Embalo staged the coup because he was losing power in a country that has seen four successful coups since independence in 1974. This special weekend edition of Global Business Insights explores the vital relationship between governance and a shared community vision in strengthening security and protecting democracies. The discussion focuses on how the intersection of effective governance structures and a collective inspiring vision can play a key role in safeguarding communities at every level. The Financial Times, in their latest editorial on Nigeria, notes that in northern Nigeria, lawlessness has enabled religious extremism and banditry to thrive. Gaping inequality has also led to huge distrust in the political actors who seem unable to deliver the better life they always seem to be promising. The inequality in access to education, infrastructure, and economic development, often along geotribal lines, is becoming a ticking time bomb. This is Nigeria's problem to solve. While there are low hanging fruit like recruiting 20,000 more policemen, but far more impactful will be upgrading governance of law and order, having supportive crime intelligence ecosystems, and leading with integrity at all levels that promotes confidence among the governed. Limited access to grid electricity hampers economic growth, job creation, and poverty reduction, with poorer communities also most affected. Yomi Badejo-Okusanya, a lead partner of CMC Connect, distinguished public relations practitioner. He has over 3 decades of expertise, and he comments on the security issues and the importance of driving a different narrative.
Over the last few weeks, the issue of insecurity has dominated the media space. Everywhere you turn, you find stories about this rampaging bandits, terrorists, and kidnappings, and what have you. It has, and of course, compounded by the statement from the American president. It seems as if that's all what we hear about now. And it's a significant dampener in terms of nation building and reputation management. Now, nobody is disputing the fact that these things are happening, but the truth is that we also need to craft a counter narrative. We need to build up, we need to come up with an alternative narrative that, in spite of all the challenges that are happening in Nigeria, there are still some good things, or there are still some positive things that are happening with the nation. Of course, we want this insecurity and all those challenges to uh, fade away. And I believe that the government is doing some work. They can still do a lot more work in getting this out. And I believe that we shouldn't keep quiet. we must insist on them putting in their best, the security forces, just doing everything possible for the safety of life and property. But even at that, Nigerians need something to rally round. They need something to lift their hopes and aspirations, even as we walk towards the end of the year. I believe that in terms of turning around that narrative, it's not only about abating the issues and the challenges of insecurity. We must give Nigerians something to renew and rekindle their hope and belief in the Nigerian nation. And I hope that it's something that the government, especially at the federal level, will be able to do. And very soon, we can drive the narrative instead of chasing it.
To another story, this time in Indonesia, a majority Chinese owned plant in the country's most important nickel site is cutting back production as its tailings site is nearly getting full. Tailings are the waste materials left over after extracting minerals during mining operations. PTQMB New Energy Materials Company Limited will reduce their output for several weeks because their tailing storage is full as Indonesia's quickly growing nickel industry faces increased scrutiny over waste issues. Indonesia accounts for more than half of the world's output of nickel, a metal used in electric vehicle batteries and stainless steel, but there is increasing scrutiny regarding the safety of current mineral processing methods, particularly in regions where heavy rainfall and earthquakes are common occurrences. As global demand for cobalt, nickel, and other rare metals continues to grow, many developing and lower income economies, often characterized by weaker regulatory institutions, find themselves ill equipped to manage the surge in mining deals and agreements. In these contexts, commercial interests frequently take precedence over environmental considerations, raising serious concerns about the long term impact on local ecosystems and communities. Few are asking where are the governance gaps to resources management in many of these developing economies and what is the plan to bridge them. And then to Guinea-Bissau, where military officials seized control of the country on Wednesday, arresting the president, closing borders, and suspending its electoral process 3 days after general elections. We do need solutions to address the root causes of political instability in Africa. The continent must establish strong ethical leadership and governance with proper checks and balances to ensure accountability. Between 2022 and 2025, Africa witnessed several successful and foiled coups. In January 2022, Burkina Faso had a coup led by Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, who overthrew President Roch Marc Christian Kabore. In September, another coup took place in Burkina Faso led by Captain Ibrahim Traore, who seized power from Damiba. In July 2023, a military coup occurred in Niger. President Mohamed Bazoum was detained and General Abdurrahmani Chiani proclaimed himself the leader. In August 2023, it was the turn of Gabon. General Brice Oligui overthrew President Ali Bongo Ondimba. And just last month, it was now Madagascar, where Colonel Michael Randrianirina was installed as interim president after President Andry Rajoelina was impeached. And now this week, it's the turn of Guinea-Bissau's President Umaro Sissoko Embalo, who is now arrested in a coup led by Army Chief of Staff Denis Inkanha. There were also several attempted coups in Mali, in Gambia, Sao Tome, in Sierra Leone, Democratic Republic of Congo, in Ethiopia, and many that were quietly foiled. For an Africa that wants to trade more with itself and advance regional integration, the issue of political stability has become mission critical. Some coups involve foreign interventions, while others point to instability caused by leadership gaps, corruption, weak governance, and indeed, for example, the longest serving president in Africa and perhaps the world is Equatorial Guinea's Theodore Obiang Nguema Basogo, who has served for 46 years. In Cameroon, 92-year-old Paul Biya may be the oldest head of state globally with a tenure of 43 years. Uganda's Museveni has served for 39 years. Eritrea's President Afwerki has been serving for 32 years, and it goes on and on. If one takes into account the nations that have recently experienced coups alongside those considered vulnerable due to leaders who have held power for, say, over 30 years, and also if you look at regions where the routine plundering of state resources appears to persist, the outlook becomes increasingly concerning. Of Africa's, say, 54 countries or so, more than half may present conditions that are prime for insurgencies to take root. This combination of prolonged leadership tenures, weak governance, and a lack of accountability regarding resource management creates an environment where instability and unrest will definitely continue to flourish. Looking beyond the African context, a significant global trend is also emerging. Governance structures look like they are weakening across many regions. This trend is fueled in part by increasingly fragile multilateral frameworks and a pervasive short-term approach to economic growth and policy making. As a result, political divisions have become markedly sharper, undermining the effectiveness and stability of governance all over the world. Western nations, in particular, are preoccupied with securing access to critical materials and exerting greater control over immigration. These priorities have in turn led to a scarcity of skilled labor, which poses a direct threat to the security and resilience of global value chains. Many businesses now find themselves entangled in the ongoing political upheavals, navigating the resulting uncertainty and disruption. In response to these challenges, the times demand for increased focus on both geopolitical and cyber vigilance. For example, in the United States, the heightened exposure of businesses to geopolitical risks has prompted company boards to adopt more proactive strategies for managing such threats. This shift in approach highlights the growing recognition of how deeply political instability can impact commercial operations. Ultimately, the divisions and tensions that are shaping the current global landscape are unlikely to dissipate on their own. It is crucial, therefore, to engage in meaningful discussions about potential solutions. And at the same time, it's also important to remain open to the new opportunities that may emerge from these complex and evolving circumstances. Now to markets. Crude oil prices inch up as drawn-out Russia-Ukraine peace talks kept geopolitical risks elevated. Traders also watching out for the outcome of an OPEC meeting on Sunday. Asian shares are set to end the month on a steady note as hopes of an imminent US rate cut help to soothe fears of overvalued stocks. US markets due for a shortened session today are muted across the major asset classes, given it's a holiday as European stocks traded mostly higher. Well, that's it on this special edition of Global Business Insights. Enjoy your weekend and thanks for watching. This is Bode Oshosami. Bye-bye.